So I was thinking today of as a theme, or if you like, just a point of exploration overall, um, to mention non-violent communication. I'm not sure whether you've ever come across that. Um, non-violent communication. So it's kind of a conflict resolution based strategy, if you like, that was made and started by Marshall Rosenberg. He's an American man. He died a few years ago, and he worked basically. That's his life work, is to create this framework to support conflict resolution from within your own self to couples, to schools, to the various institutions, to states. So he worked on all those different levels in his lifetime. And in America, there's a bit of a movement of that and a community of people um, who practice basically nonviolent communication, and there's practices around it that are linked to mindfulness. That's why I'm bringing this up, because there's a strong mindfulness streak in the strategies. And to keep it very simple, the strategy is to become aware of your feelings, naming those feelings in a non-defended way, becoming aware of the needs that are underneath the feelings, or where the feelings are coming from in non-violent communication terms, naming all that to whoever we need to resolve a conflict with, or whoever we need some support from to get those needs met. And then there's a very interesting part of the process, which is about naming a request or voicing a request to the people we need some support from. That's quite an intricate linguistic kind of workout. So that's just something to realize. Like, this is about being very specific, very down to earth. Like some smart goal might be, like one of the ways of framing this, where you need to be specific, measured, time bound, so on and so forth. But yeah, the whole process is really interesting. There's loads online, again, from America to be found. Yeah, and I was thinking today of us doing a practice that will lead us towards sensing our needs and sensing possibly the feelings linked to the needs, if you're open to do that. We'll start with the usual, finding a good posture. And for this practice, I think it's going to be really, really useful to find a very steady posture so that you can sense little changes, small changes. So if you can find, somewhere where you can really feel very steady, and the base is going to be important for that, like finding a good, steady, balanced base. Work physically on finding that. It could be, changing slightly the posture if you need to change seat, or and then yes, please do. And in itself, I think that's a good practice in itself, to be kind and to be aware of all those things, because it's already setting up how you connect with your own needs and your body's needs here, by noticing how does that feel to be sat in the chair. So as usual, in terms of the posture, to be balanced and to be giving the breath plenty of space. Just noticing how your pelvic is like, whether your pelvic is tilting back or forward, and then making sure it's kind of on a either neutral space or even tilting forward so that the spines can just rise from there. So once you've got this, you can play around, with your shoulders as well. playing around with the neck and inviting, that really steady, grounded posture, and also some space in the body, in the posture. So as usual, you can choose to either close your eyes or soften your gaze. Keeping in mind that there again, there may be some needs at play in that choice. And then we'll gently bring the attention onto the body. Noticing the posture, noticing the sensations on the skin, the sensations of being supported, and the connection with the chair, the ground. The balance. And as usual, we're going to go from here into relaxing down, bit of giving some space to what goes on within us by letting go of tension around the body, and we'll start from the skin. Noticing on the surface of the skin if there's any tension, and inviting some letting go on the elbow. Not forcing the letting go, we're just inviting some letting go. And if the body wants to hold on, then just observing that. Places around the body on the skin where some letting go may happen quite easily, and other places where it doesn't. And gently moving the attention on the in-breath underneath the skin. Maybe sensing how the muscles are, and the posture may change a little bit as we go along. Going with the flow of that relaxation. Even if the posture changes, as long as you've got enough space to breathe. Letting go around the neck, the shoulders, the arms, the hands, the legs, the feet. And the stomach, the back. Gently move the attention towards the nose, so maybe where you can sense the air coming in if you breathe in through the nose. And you're inviting some letting go as well on the out breath. Inside the nostrils, and the cheekbones. It may sound a bit strange, but you can imagine some letting go happening within the sinuses, the inner ear. Around the eye socket. The brows. Inside the eyes. Behind the eyes. Neck. Inside the mouth. You might want to let the mouth open if there's any tension in holding it closed. imagine as well some tension being released in the gums, the teeth, the lips, down the jaw, so then we're going to follow the breath in towards the throat, inviting some letting go there, and you might want to get making some space, widening, going into the chest, the top of the lungs, tension within the lungs, around the heart, and within the heart. Giving space to the heart, stomach, following the breath towards the organs in the abdomen. Sensing some release around the stomach, the belly, down within the pelvis. And the relaxation ripple out on the out breath. Again, some tension may arise during the practice, or some tension may be staying. There's nothing wrong about that. Just noticing where it's at, how it feels, the quality of the tension, shape, texture. Being as curious as we can during the whole practice. Feeling the experience we're having right here, right now, as it is. I'm going to go from here into concentrating our mind and steadying our mind within the breath. Sensing the breath, its rise and falls. Visiting the breath from within, and very different sensations along the breath, and a different time throughout the breath cycle. You want to concentrate your attention, like bringing some sound on one point along the breath cycle, and choosing some point where you can sense the breath really comfortably. Focusing the attention there, shaping your attention at that stage. This will be our anchor point for the practice. The anchor point is useful to help us come back to the breath, to come back to our senses if we feel lost in thoughts or daydreaming, sleepiness. It's also useful as a way of dosing our attention. So if you come across something that may feel uncomfortable in your experience, whether that's a physical uncomfortable or mental or emotional, And always bring your attention back to the anchor point if you want to. And you can also dose the attention by sending some of the attention to whatever you want to observe. But right now we're using the anchor point to nurture, strengthen our concentration. And if the attention moves somewhere else, maybe noticing how it's moving, if you've got a chance to be present for that. Gently bringing the attention back to the anchor point. Again, just moving those grains of sounds, reshaping the attention as gently as you can. And from here, we'll start exploring maybe the feelings around the knee. So I'll start with our body's needs right here, right now. Certain sensations that you can find that will indicate the needs at play, whether it is hunger, thirst, feeling cold, feeling too hot, feeling uncomfortable with the posture, feeling at ease with the posture. You can also observe the absence of need, feeling contented, at ease, maybe tiredness or awakeness. Understanding the will to observe the needs of the body. Maybe some feelings attached to these needs. And here you may distinguish feelings that may be vulnerable, feelings, i.e. feelings that are not defended, and feelings that are defended. And when we're defending, we have a certain kinds of feelings that crop up. There may be a storyline attached to the feelings. There may be other feelings and thoughts. Finding yourself overwhelmed by the thoughts, you can always come back to the anchor point at any time. Find yourself lost in them, entangled. Now coming back to the body's needs. Some of that body's needs may be of a different type. There's a need for safety, connection, so those needs may show up in a different way. Experiences of certain emotions attached to them. As a general rule, as explained by Marshall Rosenberg in Nonviolent Communication Work he's done, our emotions are coming from needs. We're getting into motions to meet, hopefully. Fortunately, we may misconstrue our needs, mislabel our experience, enter habits of meeting the needs we're having in a dysfunctional way, in a confused way. So being able to connect with our needs as they really are, understand what our needs are in the moment, can be very useful. Not only to self-care, to avoid dysfunctional habits that we may have picked up in our lifetime. It's also useful for communication with others, asking for their support to meet our needs. A great amount of our human needs are actually linked to others. We are interconnected. Our need for connection, care, love, protection. How about other people, the community we may be part of, the wider society? So being able to identify, name, and request what we need from others is actually a very useful skill to have. unfortunately one that we may not be very efficient at. Observing once again what the body is calling for, how the emotions are, bringing the mind to other kind of needs that may be linked to other people. There may be different sets of needs that we have in different relationships. The needs may show up, and the habits around our needs may show up in the shape of how our attention is moving. You can experiment if you like by bringing a good friend. If you don't want to experiment with this, you can keep on observing what the body is saying, refining the senses around your needs on that level. Bringing a good friend to mind, if you like, and observing, noticing if any needs appear when you have this person in mind. Noticing if there's any change in your attention. Emotions that may pop up. And then next that breath, letting go of this person, your mind, and just coming back to the anchor point. So how that's like to bring the attention back onto yourself, fully or as fully as you can. Gently widen the awareness, widening into the breath first of all. There's more of the breath from the first point of entry of the air into the body to the depth of the breath. Gently widening the awareness on the elbow. Letting go of tension if there's any. Let go of. Now sensing the breath and the echoes of the breath. Widening more and more with every out breath. Spreading this awareness to include more of the body, the arms, the hands, legs, feet, shoulders, neck, sensing the whole of the body breathing. Widening more again to sense the posture, the space around. Sounds. Still with the breath at the center of the body. Around. Sight into the awareness. And with the eyes closed. And gently spreading. And open the eyes. More colors, shapes, textures into the awareness. Thanks for practicing.